Very good afternoon, everyone. I'll try to be brief. First of all, thank you to the Exhibitions India group for organizing this Smart Cities Expo and the Convergence India Expo, where they bring together such a brilliant fraternity of practitioners, industry, people from all walks of life together to discuss about what's happening and what should happen. What is this new thing? What is this new thing being talked about? People used to say there are so many potholes on your road, and you're talking of smart. You're talking about things which are esoteric and stuff. But over a period of time, I think because of people like you and because of people and practitioners who have set the agenda through their work and have really exemplified what smart means through their work and not through their words, which is when the real picture emerges. And I think that real picture has emerged over the last 7 to 8 years because of the hard work and because of the innovative work that has been put together by all of us. And that's why we are here in such large numbers, and we have people from across the world coming to hear the India story. I often think, if you can explain a thing to a young child in an easy manner, I think then you probably yourself understood what you're talking about. And if I were to tell about my way of looking at smart cities and the way I look at what is a smart city, if you look at where we were as a country, in 1947 we had 6 crore people in urban areas. Today we have 46 crores, so we've added 40 crore people in 75 years. And we're going to add more than 40 crores in the next 25 years. So 3 times of what we added, 3 times the pace of addition is going to be there in the next 25 years. Why do people come to cities? A lot of people who say, in Mumbai and Delhi, enough migration, stop it. But people who have already come to the city are always selfish to say that, because they've already got the fruits of the city, which they don't want the others to enjoy. So cities welcome everyone. Cities are there because when you come to cities, not individually, but when you work as a collective, the productivity of each individual goes up. You earn more, you get better education, you get better recreation, you get better health, which is why people want to come to cities. And why do people leave villages and come and stay even in slums sometimes? Because of the problems in getting housing, etc., is because even that life appeals to them more, because somehow they have a hope that if not in this generation, at least the next generation will be able to do well because of the investments they are making in being in that city at that point in time. So cities are welcome. Cities increase our productivity. At the same time, what happens is when more and more people come into cities, there are problems. You have problems of traffic, you have problems of air pollution, you have problems of crime, you have problems of haphazard development, etc., etc. So the way I define smart cities is our ability to increase the positives, which is the productivity, the recreation, the health, environment, your good quality of life, your ability to increase all that, and your ability to reduce or mitigate the negatives, which is crime, traffic, air pollution, etc., etc. Your ability to do that is what is smartness. And as a city, what are the things you can do to enhance your positives and reduce the negatives? That is the concept of a smart city. This entire business of linking technology and thinking of only servers and cameras and computers and mobile phones with technology, with smart cities, is a very, very micro view. It happens because when 12 blind men look at an elephant, person who comes from the technology world looks at the thing and says, well, it seems to be a technology driven thing. Somebody else who comes from some other walk of life will talk of that. It's a very broad way of looking, doesn't emerge, because all of us come from different walks of life, and we look at those things which are very broad in nature from our own angles. But the entire concept is this, and cities which are able to do this are smart. Now this requires a whole lot of different abilities in a city. One important ability is this ability to adapt. We've seen that during COVID, when struck by a massive calamity of the kind that we saw, some cities were able to adapt quickly, create innovative ways in saving lives, in preventing loss of life and distress to people, in the way they managed the pandemic, in the way they used technology or whatever they did to gather information, communication, do better logistics. Now, not all cities were equally good at doing that. So this ability to adapt increases your ability to enhance the positives. So there's so many different ways in which you can be smart, and therefore it's very difficult. As Chandrika was telling me, that it's very difficult to organize an exhibition which depicts all these virtues of smartness, because there are n number of them. And so what I will try to tell you, in fact, we will leave aside the numbers, and all those numbers are always there in the public domain, so I don't need to go into the numbers. I think I'll talk about 5 T's, and I'll stop here, and then we can, talk. I'll be here for some more time. I think the first T I would like to talk about is trust. It's a word which you don't associate, but I strongly associate this word trust with the Smart Cities program. If you have looked at how government has done programs in the past or even the current programs, the degrees of freedom given to cities to select what they want to do and the degrees of freedom to do it the way they want to do has been the highest as far as the Smart Cities mission is concerned. Now this is a double-edged thing. When you want something to happen quickly, you tend to mandate it, you tend to draw a template, and you want the person to follow a template. And that's perhaps easier in something which is routine, in something which is standardized, for which an SOP has already been created. It's not new. But in the smart cities thing, you have to do a lot of things which are very new, or maybe they are not new, but you have to do it differently. For example, streets. Streets have existed from a long way, but building streets which provide good quality walkability, safety and security to people of all ages, all genders, all abilities is a whole new world altogether. Now, your ability to do all this cannot be mandated and SOP'd from the day one. You have to trust a system to evolve through repetitive, iterative action on ground, and gradually the capacity to develop more and more of such things develops. And that is a time-taking process. So, sometimes I come across people who think, well, there is a National Highway Authority of India. It builds 300 kilometers of roads every day. Why don't cities build 300 kilometers of roads every day? It doesn't happen that way. There are different dynamics to the two different things. And you're talking of an organic space called a city, where people have different ways of interacting, and their lives intersect with the city in very different ways, and you have to take into account, you have to engage with the community, you have to engage with different stakeholders, and you have to build these concepts over time. So trust was fundamental to this process. I have to trust you that you would go on and do these things in the way your context allows you to do, in the way you feel is the best for the locality, which could be very different for different cities, isn't it? For a Bhubaneswar, it could be very different for a Madurai or some other city in the north, maybe a Chandigarh. They will have different ways of looking at things, but they will arrive at solutions which are local because they have been given the trust and the freedom and the autonomy to decide what is best for the locality. Now, this is a time-taking process. So this is one thing we need to understand, which I think is a very, very strong investment we have made into our urban sector. This investment in trusting cities, in trusting local stakeholders, in taking decisions according to their context. The second T I would like to talk about is tolerance. When we do transformative work, when we are trying to do things which will be new and which are going to set the tone for tomorrow, And we don't know how to approach it because these are very uncharted territories for us. For example, I myself have been working in municipal corporations I have worked in municipal corporations for 8+ years. The first time I went into a municipal corporation was in 2003, and then 2006, and then 2014, and then after 2018 I have been in Delhi. I have seen the urban sector very closely. Tolerance is something which is a must, because I'll tell you why. As I said in the beginning, over the next 25 years, we are going to add more than 40 crore people to our urban areas. This is more than double the size of a population of the country of Russia, which has a stall here, double the size of Russia is going to move into your cities over the next 25 years. More than the population of a United States is going to move into your cities over the next 25 years. We were just sizing up the kind of investment that will be required in cities to be able to cater to the needs of these population. And this investment, if you do it in the traditional way, if you just extrapolate how we have been doing in the past, and we just extrapolate and multiply it with numbers and per capita terms, the investment comes to around $6 trillion US. Now, the current investments that we are making into cities per year is $30 to $35 billion a year. If you multiply it with 25 years, you reach 750 billion. Even if you multiply it with 25 years, with a 10% increment, you reach around 2 trillion. You need 6 trillion. And the increment over the last 10 years has been 7 to 8%. So we're talking of an increment over the next 25 years of 20%. That's not going to happen. Even if it happens, that's probably not the most efficient way of doing things, isn't it? I mean, are we so plush with resources that we will be able to push in $6 trillion US into city development when there are so many competing areas where this money is required? So what is needed? We need to be innovative. We need to have local templates. We are all dependent on Western templates. We need to develop templates which are suitable to Indian context, which can work at 1/10 of the price that works in the West, and it gives good quality. I term that in a very succinct way called affordable excellence. We need affordable excellence, something which is affordable yet excellent. And one of the best examples of that is this thing, which is a very affordable device. Poorest to the poor have this, and it's an excellent means of communication. I keep telling this in all my talks that we need mobile phones in the housing sector, we need mobile phones in the water sector, we need mobile phones in the sewage sector. Because this is the kind of innovation that is required for India, that is required for Africa, that is required for Indonesia, for Vietnam. These are the countries where 90% of the urbanization is going to happen in the next 25 years. They need their own templates, and we need to be innovative, which is why we need to be tolerant to experiments. And that's why tolerance. We need to be tolerant. We should give space. We should understand that when we are experimenting and trying new things, there will be failures. If we are very, very harsh on failures and we want to be correct all the time, then in that process of always wanting to be correct, we won't be experimental enough, and that will be doom for our country. So one of the greatest virtues that the Smart Cities mission brought in is this element of tolerance and letting people do things differently, even if they fail, but learn in the process, so that in the future, when India needs its own solutions, these experiments will become the sort of the foundation from where these new innovative solutions will arise. The third T I want to talk about is talent. A lot of people in this room are there who perhaps would not have been here, and not this room, across a lot of cities and industry. A lot of these smart city divisions in industry, in various companies, smart city divisions in cities, investments in creating IT talent. Today we are working with 50 IITs and IIMs and the schools of planning and architecture. We are also working with academic institutions and research institutions to build know-how, two-way know-how between our practitioners and academia on the other side. There's a lot of talent that has emerged. It may not be enough. It may not be as good as we require, because the challenges that we face are huge. And we always keep talking about the challenges in a very, sort of a depressed and sort of a, when will we overcome this? My dear I don't think there will be ever a time that any citizen in this country will say, I am done with problems. There is no, I am nirvana. You will not find a citizen like that even in New York. Every citizen will have one problem. And this is one of these things my daughter used to tell me when I was a commissioner in Pune. She used to tell me that you have at least 4 million problems. I said, why? Because there are 4 million citizens in Pune. So at least one problem every citizen has. So you have to fix 4 million problems. And by the way, that's going to be the case even 40 years down the line. And that is the case in all cities of the world. So it's important that we continuously build talent to deal with this situation. And this is an ongoing process. We have to all invest in this. As individuals, we have to improve our own talent. As organizations, we have to see that we are able to contribute to this in a holistic way. There are many companies who are very good at building IT solutions, but hardly any which can actually maintain it and to create outcomes the way it is desired. Well, it's very easy to install a traffic management system, but to produce outcomes is very difficult. That requires another level of talent. So this development of talent has been one of the key areas where this mission has been progressing and working on. And it's a joint effort. It's an effort of industry, academia, research organizations, civil society, government all together. The fourth T I would like to talk about is technology. And I think technology is something that we tend to think of technology as gadgets like these. But technology is essentially, in the broadest term, I think the technology is just the way you do things. Chair is a technology of enabling you to sit. This dais is a technology for enabling me to give a speech. And this different approach to doing things is what is different technologies that are required in the smart city context. Even small things, we were last week in a city called Pimpri Chinchwad, because that city has done some tremendous work in streets redesign. And we saw the kind of innovations they were doing. Each paver block, they had experimented on a paver block of a size of less than a foot by, say, 8 inches by 3 inches, that paver block, that had been experimented on and improved and improved over time for the last 6-7 years. Every small element is changing. It's a humongous effort. Technology is, the kind of technology, we've seen startups, we have seen solutions that are emerging which are very focused on the India context. And there are companies which are producing excellent results despite all kinds of odds and data being a problem, administrations being weak, financial constraints being in our cities, environmental situation without the kind of GDP growth still being very poor. These are very strange kind of set of problems in which you work, and therefore technologies which work in those situations. Sometimes I feel a lot of times technologists come and say, technology was good, but it didn't work because you didn't have people who understand it. Well, it's yes, to some extent yes, but I would love to see technologists who come to say, my technology will work despite whatever the capacity the person has at the end, because it's both a mutual process of you cannot just have a jump in capacity to understand just because a technology emerges. It's always digilog, which is digital and analog go together. You can have n number of technologies come up swiftly because technology is moving at a very fast pace, but the capacity of humans to handle it. Plus, what is the paradigm that you're looking at? Are we looking at a paradigm that technology replaces what is happening through humans, or are we looking at paradigms where technology supports and augments the capacity of humans? I think in our cities, the context is the second. We have to look at technologies that augment the capacity of existing individuals to do better. I'll just give one example. Telemedicine, for example. There is a situation where a lot of people who live in slums have a dearth of doctors to be able to reach right doctors. Now, there are link workers who go to the slums. If those link workers had tabs or mobile phones which could directly link them to a doctor on call, then the problem is solved. So the capacity of this human called link worker increases because he or she can give better solutions to the same person living in the slum because of this use of new technology. These are the kinds of technologies that need to emerge. And there is again a loop of innovation and a loop of continuous progress, continuous improvement that is going on in the field of technology. I'll come to the end and the fifth T, which is all this takes time. And I think time is my fifth T. We are proud of a couple of institutions in our country. One is ISRO, it's just landed on the moon. We are proud as a nation. ISRO was formed more than 50 years back. It's taken it 50 years to reach the moon. We cannot be smart cities in 5 years. Our election commission was formed in 1950. Today, it is proudly an institution which can conduct elections anywhere across the world. But it was only in 1982 it tried for the first time something called the electronic voting machine, and it failed. And it tried the second time, it failed. It tried the third time and it succeeded. It took 30 plus years, 40 plus years to reach that stage. People credit Mr. T.N. Session and said that is the time that election commission changed completely. It is wrong. It's a process of evolution. It just happens that there is a catalyst at that point in time which makes you see that evolution in a much clearer way. So here's the thing, smart cities will take time to come. Smart cities will happen over a period of time. There may never be a time you will call your city smart, because it's always going to be a journey. It's always going to be something you're investing in continuously, because problems arise. We never knew COVID will happen, and COVID happened. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Problems will arise, and therefore your ability to continuously adapt, be resilient, be ready for the future, be able to look at society in an intergenerational equity manner where you're not using resources today by taking away resources from the future. These are things that don't just happen in a point in time. They will continue to happen. So we have to allow ourselves the time, we have to allow ourselves and be patient with the process and be supportive of the process, which is the fifth T I wanted to talk about. I invite all of you. There's a small stall we have put up as a national mission. It's just a small glimpse of certain works that are happening in various cities. At the end, I'll just say, all of you are looking forward to what next. A lot of people ask me what next. Smart cities is the way to go. And as I described to you, the kind of challenge we have as a country going forward in the urban sector. Just see the thing. The entire population of Europe today is 75 crores. The projected population of Europe in 2050 is 65 crores, 10 crores lesser. Your urban population today is 46 crores. Projected population in 2050 may be 1 billion. We have no other way. Smart cities is not something to gossip about. It's not a choice. It's now the only way to go. Thank you so much for hearing me patiently. And thank you once again to the team, the organizers, for putting up a fantastic show. Thank you.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, we can all once again put our hands together. Such an optimistic, positive message, very inspiring. Or as he said, yahi samay hai, sahi samay hai. Yes, we need to build that trust, be tolerant, give time, space. हमारी अपनी problems हैं, तो solutions भी हमारे अपने होने चाहिए. So very inspiring. I would like to request Ms. Chandrika Bahl, the Managing Director of Exhibitions India Group.
And so I have a sixth T to add, which is thankful for your visionary leadership and your commitment to making our city smart and responsive and sustainable, and the 100 other things you said. And thank you for your continued support for the show and everything you've done for us over the years.
Thank you.